Hey guys, welcome back to one more session. This time we're gonna talk about PDG and tops with ComfyUI. Let's dive into it. So I have a pretty simple image generation workflow here, and the cool part about this one is that I'm wedging the seed parameter for this image generation. So I have the same phrase there as a prompt, but I'm asking for different seeds. And inside of the stop net here, things are pretty straightforward. We have a wedge node that allows us to set up how many wedges we want to use and the attribute we want to wedge, and also our ComfyUI graph submit. Here on the network is also going to be a pretty simple network, simple image generation one, and we're piping in the attribute here on the seed. So let's see how we can do that from scratch. So I'm going to create a new ComfyUI compound graph here, and I'm gonna dive inside, and what we're gonna do here is do a load checkpoint. And for this video I'm using a checkpoint that I've been using for a while, uh, doing this research, which is the RioViz 5 Lightning FBS 16. On the board on the resource board you guys can find where to download it and how to install that. So that's what I'm going to be using. So now that I selected the checkpoint I'm going to use, I'm going to do a clip text or clip prompt, and I'm gonna get this node here, clip text encode. I'm gonna Control C, Control V this guy. I'm gonna make one green and the other one red, so I can know one is positive, the other one is negative. Now I'm gonna do a ksampler, grab the conditioning positive, the conditioning negative, pipe in the model, and set up a latent image here. Latent image, empty latent image node. So for this model, it's okay to generate images for 1024. So I'm gonna start from there. Connect this guy here. The last part that I need here is just a VAE decode to grab from latent to pixel space. VAE decode, grab the VAE, grab the latent, and I'm gonna pipe this guy here to my output. So I'm gonna grab maybe a text here, so we are using, maybe we can use this one here of the autumn scene, and I'm gonna pipe it in here. And for this model specifically, I have a model sheet. You guys can take a look on the website on Hugging Face. It does have a series of words that is looking as a negative prompt. So I'm just gonna paste it over here on my negative prompt. And let me just clean here, this one here. Fun. Alright, so now I just need to adjust my ksampler. Maybe put a specific seed there. Also, if you check out the model card on the download link, you're gonna see that this guy is expecting 5 steps and 1 to 2 FCSG. The sampler name is the DMP STE, DMP++ STE, and the scheduler is the Keras scheduler. And one more thing I want to do here is that I'm rendering on my separate machine, so I'm gonna adjust my IP here address. I'm gonna copy this guy here. Boom. So let's, if you just set up or just install that model, remember to restart. If you install any new custom nodes, remember to update node definitions. But for this time, I think all I gotta do is hit compute, and it's sending the job to the other machine. The job is there, and we should get the image back real soon. Awesome, the image is back. So now let's understand what's gonna happen when we set up the topnet. So for this example, I wanna wedge maybe the seed here. So if I change the seed, for example, and compute a different image, it's the same prompt, but we're gonna land in a different place on the galaxy of images and text. So that's what's gonna happen here. And let's set up our topnet. So here on the topnet, I'm gonna do a wedge node, and I'm gonna say that I want 5 wedges, and I wanna wedge a attribute called seed. It's gonna be a integer attribute. Let's do a range, and I'm gonna set up some interesting values here, and some random samples here. So that's pretty much it for this wedge. So now we're gonna generate the node, and now we're probably gonna double click here and see that we have an actual seed number. All right, the different seed number every time that I click on a node, new work item. So what I'm gonna do now is connect this attribute that we generated, which is a global attribute at this point, to this guy. So something that we need to consider here, if you just type as seed here, it doesn't work. It doesn't work because we made some changes on to match, to improve the way the seeds are generated here and how the ComfyUI expect them. So all you gotta do is kind of hold Alt and click on the word seed. So now you got this, if you click, you got these quotation marks here. When you see them, just type add seed and boom, it should work. All right. So what we can do now, for example, is maybe look at the parameters, go back into our topnet here. And if we click here, and I don't want to match to this other one here. So I'm going to change seed video, for example. And I'm going to dirty this node and generate it one more time. And here I'm gonna rename this guy to seed underscore video. Alright, just so you make it a little bit different from the other one that I was using. If I click on this guy, alright, so I'm getting a different seed every time I click a work item, which is exactly what I want. Perfect. So if we generate this image now, nothing's gonna change, just the seed, which is great. So I do want to make a change to the suffix of the file. I want to add an indicator that these are different images. So I'm going to add here on my suffix this one here and add wedge index. And I'm going to do between parentheses here because the wedge index starts at 0. But because I want to read these images back as with a $F or with a frame, and Houdini doesn't have the frame 0, I'm just going to do this one here, edge index plus 1. And now if I click on this guy, the first one's going to be 1, 2, 3, and 4. Awesome. Perfect. So now how do we make sure that this can be submitted to ComfyUI? So what I'm going to do now is go to my wedge, my topnet, hit tab, and you should also get our ComfyUI graph submit. Connect one to the other one, and the only thing you need to worry about this one is select the compound graph node, Control C, and here Control V there. Perfect. So I'm gonna save my file. That's really important when working with topnets. You always gotta save a file before it can you kind of refresh your nodes, just because it won't know if the file is not saved. It won't know the refresh attributes and parameters if the file is not saved in disk. So now I'm gonna maybe dirty this node or dirty all and cook this node. Oh, I was just gonna generate this. But yeah, all right. So the jobs are sent to my other machine. They should be queued up, one after the other. So let's just kind of see how it's going. All right, we're getting some renders back. All right, and each one of them has a different seed and it's a different image. Perfect, exactly what I wanted from this. So let's take a look how we're gonna read those files back now. So if I hit tab and hit file, I'm gonna go to my downloads directory and grab this path here and paste the path here. And if I click to visualize these guys, you can see that I actually have a sequencer that cannot be understood by the sequencer reader. You can see that we just generated a couple files. Let me show you this here. Alright, so we just generated these ones here, 5. And they don't read as a sequence because they are all batch index 0. And that's the type of data that needs to be there so we can handle batches, which is something from ComfyUI. And that also stops ComfyUI to reading, not ComfyUI, Houdini from reading this as a sequencer here, but no worries. All you gotta do here is just select your ComfyUI submit, your one of the renders, and here on your path, this is the index and this is the wedge index. So here I'm gonna do a $F. And now if I want to read this guy back, I can. Okay, so pretty straightforward. Just want to show you how to handle these two digits at the end and how you can kind of make sure it's working correctly. So be mindful sometimes you may forget to add your ComfyUI grep submit here on the top, or you may forget to Control S and save. So that's something you should consider. It's also really cool that if I, for example, remove this wedge index here and save the file and do maybe a dirty all and generate work items, our node is on the ComfyUI grep submit node is actually gonna tell you that you're gonna overwrite your files. So it's just giving you a hint that you gotta add some suffix there to make sure things can properly work. So let me Control Z here a couple times. Hopefully, yep, it's there. And I also want to show you the following here. We also have this image generate here node that we have, and here you should just be able to add $seed with no issue, and it's just gonna work. Let's see video. All right, and this is a HDA made on top of the compound graph. So one thing you want to consider is that if you just point to the HDA, so for the ComfyUI graph submit, if you point to the actual HDA, things are not gonna work. So you always gotta point to the compound graph submit node. All right. So if you end up make your own HDAs on this creation, if you want your ComfyUI graph submit to work, just make sure we are pointing it to the confound graph inside of AR HDA and not the HDA itself. All right. So that's something you need to consider as well. Alright, that's pretty much it for this video. That's working with wedges inside with ComfyUI.